Hola mi gente, this is Dr. Christina Dominguez with another episode of Level Up, Unfiltered and Unapologetic. This week, it's all about March Madness. Madness doesn't just happen on the court. It happens behind closed doors in a relationship. So today we're going to talk about the top 3 most crucial fouls committed in a relationship. Let's get right into it. Everyone wants to know, what is the key to a healthy, successful relationship? What are the secrets of a long-lasting marriage? And although I think the answer to this question might be more complex than what we would imagine, what I can provide you with are 3 things that can cause complete madness in a relationship and can be avoided. But do we even know what they are and how to avoid them? Let's start with number 1, and most crucial is poor communication. When we are not communicating verbally with our partners, how do we even know where they stand? And how do they know where we stand? If there isn't an exchange of information and of emotions in a relationship, it's only going to cause you to start to make conclusions about where that person is because you're in a state of unknown. Remember, as human beings, our brains do not like the unknown. So there's a good chance that we're going to start to try to make conclusions based off of little pieces of data that we are collecting here and there. So don't try to do all the work on your own. This is also something that could lead to avoidance of conversation, because the less we communicate verbally, the more we communicate non-verbally. These are the cues that we start to pick up on and potentially misunderstand. These misunderstandings are only going to continue to build up and to pile up, and that's how arguments end up happening, because there's misunderstandings and possibly some false assumptions in there that haven't been clarified. Having those little conflicts are only going to lead to avoidance. We don't want to have to face fighting on a regular basis. Avoiding a fight is only going to lead to more fights. It's just like sweeping stuff under the rug. So if there's anything that you want to prioritize to be preventative in your relationship, make sure that you have a strong sense of communication. Number 2 is a broken sense of trust. This is something that I see very common and that brings couples in to have to seek treatment. There was an infidelity or there was a rupture of trust one way or another. And what makes this difficult is for the person whose trust has been broken, getting them to a place of understanding the reason behind their partner's actions. Even if those actions are within reason and they make sense, it can still make resentment and other negative feelings bubble up for that other partner. And the challenge here is about forgiving and the forgetting part. I'm not necessarily encouraging you to forget an offense in a relationship, but if you agree to stay in your relationship despite a fracture of trust, then you have to find a way to be able to resolve it and put it behind you. If you continue to hold on to this offense and to this broken trust, you are only going to continue to open up that wound over and over for that other person, for yourself, and for the sake of your relationship. If you can't get over it, let go of it. Number 3, hoping that your partner will change. This is probably the most deceiving thing that can take place in a relationship. And this is because the person that we're dating has the potential to be so much better than where they're at. So what we tell ourselves is they can change. Let's make sure to make something very clear from the beginning. Growth versus change. When you're dating somebody on day 1 compared to their day 101, they should be very different people if they are dedicated to making sure that they're getting to the next level of fulfillment, to being the best version of themselves. That is growth. When we are hoping that the other person will change, what's happening is that we are telling ourselves that there's something about this person that we don't quite like. There's something about them that's just not fitting. And we're hoping that they have the potential to be able to do something differently. The problem with this is that what happens if they never make that change? We have to be realistic about who we are dating in the moment, as if they were never going to make that change, and you must accept that person as they are. If we assume that that person was to never change into the ideal version that you hope for them to be, you are not sitting in the reality of the relationship. So, from the very beginning, there is a falsehood in the foundation of your connection. Be mindful of falling for the idea of who somebody could be as opposed to who they actually are in the moment. Be honest from the very beginning about who you're dating to avoid being surprised in the future and realizing that you've been dating somebody other than who you thought they were. This happens because you see them for who they can be, not who they are. Don't let that sneak up on you. Relationships are complicated. It's like learning how to drive. You have to look in the rear view, you have to look in the side view, you have the pedals. Some of us have to do the manual. There are a lot of components in learning how to drive. Being in a relationship is also very similar. You have your stuff, the other person has their stuff. It is a very fine dance that requires finesse. So don't expect it to be perfect. Go into a relationship, be honest, be real with yourself, make sure you're communicating, take it a day at a time. If a rupture in trust happens, come to the table when you cooled off and approach it in a respectful way. The more we sweep things under the rug, the more of a chance that eventually we're gonna end up tripping over it. If you like the tips that you heard today about relationships, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow me on social media for more relationship tips. See you on the next level up.